So if you watched the news this week, there was a bone found outside of Saint Jude Hospital. Now, of course, the police are called and the medical examiners will identify it. And someone happened to mention a real life missing person, and that spot had nothing to do with that story, although the online trolls took away with it and ran, as they often do. But for those who know history and burial sites, one of the reasons why I visit those type of places is they teach us about society. They teach us both what we honor, what we remember, as well as what we try to hide. That particular spot outside of St. Jude Hospital is the site of the Winchester Burial Grounds, and it weighs big in Memphis history. Disasters of old, riverboats, many major disasters, but especially in the days of yellow fever, because when yellow fever hit Memphis nearly stopped being a city. In fact, they lost their legal status as a city for several years. That burial ground became a decrepit, falling apart, forgotten place, even though it weighed so big in the first years. It was even the spot of the burial of the first mayor of Memphis. He would actually end up dying nearly bankrupt or bankrupt. Some believe his fortunes are tied to the fact that he fell in love with someone that society said he shouldn't. And he ended up being forced out of town and living on the outskirts of Memphis because of his wife. And that bankruptcy led him to not be able, his descendants could not move his body because they did not have the funds or were not able to when that cemetery was officially moved and forgotten. So today, the first mayor of Memphis is actually buried under what was a City of Memphis maintenance shack on the opposite side of the bark of the burial site where the construction at St. Jude is taking place. For you see, that great cemetery is now becoming a construction site, and for many years people dig on it. There's other stories like this around Memphis, the Forgotten Children of Fraser, where a community center now stands, and for years people had to fight just to post a memorial, and the bureaucrats and bean counters fought that, saying that we couldn't possibly afford to weed eat around a memorial. And it just makes you think, these burial sites and historical sites that I like to visit, they teach us sometimes not in what we build big, but in what we build small, or what we don't build at all, or what we forget about. It teaches us about society. There will be a part 2 to this, tying in some of one of my favorite nature spots, which is where I'm sitting right now. But I think burial sites and cemeteries are important because they teach us not just what we value, not just what we remember, but also they teach us some of what we don't like to talk about, what we treat unfairly. And I could go on about that, but that's part 2.